Hi guys, welcome back. It's been a few weeks, but here we are in the new year now. And today I want to talk to you about being a psychic medium. Now, I've had people say to me, "Oh, I wish I could do what you do. That's so cool." And it is, but there are things that you don't know about that I'm going to fill you in on here a little bit. Everyone is capable of some ability. We all have the capability of it. Some of us, it comes easier to than others. Some have to work harder for it. But there are some things you need to know if you decide to pursue this line of work, like I have. Now, I know some people who have abilities that just keep it to themselves, or they just help themselves and their family or their friends, which is fine. I mean, just because you have the abilities doesn't mean you have to go public. It doesn't mean you have to go and help. It's really, it is a choice to some degree, but I know for me, it's called me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and that's just it. But it isn't easy, okay? There are things that you will go through that are extremely difficult. For example, you will lose friends. Now, I'm lucky enough to have people who don't understand or can't relate to what I do, but they still support me, which is really important for you to have. And I also have my spiritual friends who are the ones that can, something weird happens, I can message them up. It's like, oh my goodness, this happened today. Like, has this ever happened to you? Because every once in a while, you'll something new will happen. It's very important, if you are going to pursue that you have both types of friends. But even though I've been lucky enough to have that, I have also lost several friends. And I'm not talking new friends. I've lost friends that I've had for over half my life, at least. It's not an easy thing. Even though it's nothing to be afraid of, people are still fearful of this type of thing. It's becoming more and more accepted all the time now, more than it ever has been, but it's still not where I would like it to be, where I'd like to see it. You don't have to be afraid of, you don't have to be afraid of me. You don't have to be afraid of people that do this stuff. Excuse me. I know others have gone through similar things that I have, but I'm just going to try to speak from my own experience, because I don't want to I can't speak for everybody else. So that is a thing. You will struggle with that. Or there may be times where either your friends will leave you, or, in my case, your hand may be forced to leave those friends, which is sad. It's hard. It's unfortunate. But doing this line of work involves a lot of personal work, personal healing, personal growth. Not everyone is ready for that. And when you're making all these changes sometimes and your friends are not, I don't think that they mean necessarily any ill will, but I think it frightens them. I think it frightens them because it feels like you're leaving them behind to a degree. But I have been called to this. And this is part of who I am. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I finally figured out what I want to be when I grow up. It took me a long time to figure that out. But even though it's difficult, I wouldn't trade it. Each person has to make that decision on their own. You should not be forced into it. You should not be pressured. It has to be a free will decision. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. And even, like I said, even if you have the abilities, you don't have to do anything. There are times when it's terrifying for yourself. I have been through this. Sometimes you see things that are not so great. It does affect other parts of your life. Sometimes, like, when you have these abilities, it's very important. Like, even if you're an empath, you need to learn to manage your abilities. It's not always going to be 100%. Sometimes things will still slip through. Sometimes you'll see something or have a vision or something like that. But you can get to a point where you have a lot of say, and as you should. But it is difficult. Something else I'd like to talk about too is something called downloads. I don't know how many people talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. What that means is there are, and it's not all the time, but there are periods of time or days, like it's always different, where you will receive information. I know this is going to sound really odd, but it's been happening to me every day for about the last month. It's probably the most extreme amount of time that I've had, where it's literally like receiving information into your brain. It can be words, letters, numbers, images of people, signs, and a lot of times it might not even make sense to you. But it's coming from somewhere else. It's not happening inside. It's coming in. It's not yours. And I know it's difficult when this happens because sometimes it happens really, really fast. It's like rapid fire, and it's just pouring into your mind, and it can be very overwhelming. I learned that I could ask to slow it down, because there were times in the beginning, and initially it was happening to me before I even knew what it was, and it was very scary, and I felt like I was losing my mind. But until I understood it, and I was able to ask, could you please slow this down? It's too much. It's too fast. It can be flashes of images. It can be short little movies. You can see people, vehicle. I mean, it can be anything really. And I know it's weird. It sounds odd, but it's a thing. I have a lot of friends who this happens to. We talk about it. So that's something else to keep in mind, that can happen to you. But again, I'm speaking from my personal experience. Every single psychic medium is different. No two of us have the same experiences. There is so many different ways of receiving. It's just like no two psychic mediums are the same. We don't get our messages the same. As I've said before, we don't receive our information the same. But it is definitely something to think about. And that's, again, again, why I had said before in another video, why psychic mediums charge so much sometimes, because I believe it was John Holland that said, the price of being sensitive is sensitivity. And as you go further and further into this, you will become more sensitive. The more you use the better you get at it. The more accurate you get, the more detailed you get. You will always be evolving if you pursue it. So I'm going to wrap this up now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I may do another video at some point talking about more stuff that happens. That's just came to mind today. And thank you for being here with me. And I would appreciate if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video.